yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Yeah, we ran out of patience for your love with the cold hard hatred. I can feel the vibration, feet in the streets, it's a new sensation. I wanna break faces on the pavement. I wanna make greatness look complacent. Adrenaline awakened, I can taste it. We can make an impact, grab and then take it. Like a disease, bring them to their knees. Take the their disease. Just like a wind, spread into the streets. Time to make them bleed. 'Cause we just want retribution. Let's go light up the darkness. Make true of an empty promise. Flip cards in the weekend, harmless. Take to the streets and turn them to a mosh pit. 'Cause we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution.
Wow, a warm welcome, both figuratively and literally. I'm melting here, right where I am right now. Absolutely melting. It is gross in the UK, but a warm welcome to your favorite. You don't want to listen to me, bitch. Warm welcome to your favorite podcast, the Hcast. I hope you're having a fantastic day, morning, evening, whatever, wherever it is, wherever you are. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. You could be anywhere, but you're spending your time with us here. So, yeah, it means a lot. Thank you. We've got quite the episode for you. This is season 3, episode 149. We're steamrolling through these episodes now. Another few, I think it's like another month or so, and then we're on to season 4. So that'll be interesting. What are we talking about today? Well, Alien Romulus trailer dropped, the final. So we're going to talk about that. Acolyte. The final of that dropped, the episode. Oof, we're going to review that, my God. Doctor Who. Yeah, a bit of a disaster for Disney. We'll be talking about that. Mark Hamill being a bit of a cuck. We're going to talk about that, not literally, all right? I mean, although maybe he is, who knows? He's got the demeanor of one. So we'll talk about that as well. It's quite a full-on episode today, ladies and gents. I'm going to do my best. I do have, just as a quick FYI, I do have a bulging disc in my spine at the moment, which is causing me quite a lot of issues. So we're going to get through this as best we can. Forewarning, may have to stop early, but I'm drugged up. We've got some painkillers in. I think we should be okay. So a few things to get out of the way. If you want to support the show, because we do get demonetized here, so this is funded by you guys, for you guys, super chats, right? So you can chuck in some dollars to ask a question, to interact with us here on the show. Great way to help out, great way to get involved. The best way to do it, though, because you can do it via YouTube, but if you do it via Streamlabs, that's better. It's better for you because you can say more for your money. And it's better for me because if you send it via YouTube, YouTube does take 30%, which is quite a lot. So try and cut them out of the equation if you can. That'd be great. Aside from that, we've got Patreon. So if you want to sign up to that, that'd be great. That's down below in the description box as well. And I think that's about it, really, to be fair. That is pretty much it, pretty much done. So I will bring on my panel for today. Unfortunately, we are a man down, so don't have the usual co-host culture, but we've got some fantastic panel members that are usually here anyway, but just pre-warn, Culture's not here. Lazy people will be like, where's Culture? He's just not here. All right. He'll be back. So anyway, bringing on the first member of the Hcast, it is Bo, the History Bro.
Hello, how you doing, mate?
I'm melting, but I'm good.
Yeah, it's warm.
For
once, it's hot in Britain. For once,
are you not going to be like sticky to that chair? Because that's
it's
like a leather
not too
chair,
bad,
isn't it?
actually. It's not too bad. Yeah, it is, but it's actually not too bad.
If you start squeaking, we know why.
I mean, like
you've melded to the chair.
In this studio, I'm in sort of a closed environment thing, so it's actually one of the coolest places in the whole building. But yeah, otherwise it would be very sticky.
Sorry.
Yeah. One thing, I know you've had a bad back before, but you've actually got a problem with a disc. Bloody hell! I didn't notice
Yeah,
that
it was.
sort of. Bloody
Yeah,
hell.
that is what
Oh.
that is what is the recurring issue basically.
Were you doing, if you don't mind me prying on air, were you doing crazy deadlifts or something? Because I know you work out shit. I mean, look at your traps; they're ridiculous. Were you doing stupid deadlifts or something? I
So
hope you're all right.
yeah, so the back happened, God, quite a long time ago now, like nearly, I don't know, about 15 years ago now, so quite a long
Oh
time,
right, okay, right,
and
all right. Well,
not overly sure what caused that. I was doing pretty heavy deadlifts around the time. I don't know whether it was that. It was a musculoskeletal imbalance of some description. The SI joint, so the sacroiliac joint, potentially wasn't as mobile as it should have been. Whether that was iliopsoas that was pulling on it, whether it was the glutes that were pulling on it, not overly sure. But it stems from the sacroiliac joint because they need to, well, both sides have to pivot. And if they don't pivot and allow mobility, one side will pivot, and then what will then open up and gap instead will be your spine. So that
Jesus.
takes the pressure out of one side if it's not gapping, if it's not moving properly, it's not freely mobile. So yeah, I don't really know, basically. It's a pain in the ass or the back, shall I say. It's not fun. Oh, promote yourself. Who are you?
Yeah, I was just saying. I just say a bad back is no joke. I've had it a bit bad once, just muscular stuff, and that was some of the worst pain I've ever had. So I feel for you. Anyway, me. Let's talk about me. Yeah, History Bro, my own channel, History Bro. Check it out. Always looking for new subs. Go over there, like and subscribe. 250 odd videos talking about everything from Göbekli Tepe and ancient Assyria through to Richard Nixon. Lots and lots of medieval stuff, ancient world stuff. That's my forte. My undergrad was in classical civilizations. So there's lots and lots of videos there exclusively about history. Also, my day job is at lotuseaters.com. Head over to lotuseaters.com and subscribe for as little as £5 a month, because a lot of it is behind the paywall there. I've got my own show on Lotus Eaters called Epochs, which is again history themed at the moment. I'm going through.
It is a show. I like that you're doing this, but it is a show.
I feel like an actual show, like it has to be on TV before you can really call it a show. It's just an internet.
We're better than TV these days.
Yeah,
honestly.
actually are. Yeah, I actually think I'm a better historian than Mary Beard. I honestly believe that.
Accurate.
And I'm just an armchair historian. I'm just a fan of history. Anyway, going through the story of the late Roman Republic, the decline and fall of the Roman Republic at the moment. So that's there. And also I do this obviously on Thursdays, and on Sundays I quite often stream with small channel with Lance, Outcast Creatives, and they're great. We're going through Band of Brothers at the moment. So that's largely it. Also find me on Twitter, just at Bodade. And I think that's it.
Awesome. Excellent. So yeah, guys, please do check History Bro out over on his own channel. And obviously, if you're familiar with the Lotus Eaters, you'll know him. If you're not, do check out the Lotus Eaters as well. I'm so hot. My God. Right, we'll bring on another panel member. He's not been here for a little while. I don't think you were here last week, were you? So it's Andre. How you doing?
I'm doing good. It's hot where I'm at as well, though not as hot as over in the UK. And having spent quite a bit of time in the UK, I can confirm to everyone listening who is not themselves in the UK that when it gets hot in the UK, it gets hot. And like in all of Northern Europe, your houses was built to keep the heat inside, not to cool it down. That's like a big thing that many people kind of like underestimate. We have that especially up in Norway. Those times when it gets proper warm, it's a pain in the ass because so few have air conditioning, because we generally don't need it, and all our infrastructure is made at keeping the warmth inside in winter. And that design and those materials doesn't work too well in summer, especially a hot summer, now does it?
Yeah, it's yeah. I like the fact that you came in and said that, to be honest, because a lot of people, whenever like Americans hear us being like, "Oh, it's hot," people are like, "Oh, shut up." You know, I was born in like, you know, the Mojave Desert or some crap like that. And you're like, good
Yeah,
for you,
but
I
the
guess.
houses in the
Like-
Mojave Desert, they are designed with that heat in mind. Houses in Northern Europe were not.
Yeah, we don't have it. Don't have aircon. There's no HVAC. There's none of this stuff. Like, it's
Exactly.
just
We
not
don't
what we
have
have.
any of that.
A
I mean, like,
lot
for
of
instance,
insulation is what we have in our houses. A lot of insulation.
exactly. Like, for instance, my
Ugh.
house in Norway, I'm not in Norway now, but my house in Norway, perfect working there all year around. But my office in summer, when it's really warm, it's a freaking sauna. It's unbearable to be in there.
I remember going to America when I was in my teens, and all the houses having air conditioning. And in Britain, if your house has got air conditioning, or you've got a swimming pool, an outdoor swimming pool, that's like you're probably quite wealthy because it's not really needed. It's completely surplus to requirement. It's like not many people really have convertible cars here because it rains so often. And so you go to America and everyone's got aircon. You think, oh, that's very middle class. That's very well to do. And it's like, no, everyone's got it. Everyone's got it because we live in Phoenix, Arizona or something, and you're gonna die if you don't. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, we come from different worlds.
Exactly. That's exactly right. That is the difference right there. Or like houses and infrastructure is built for the average environment of that place over the course of decades. And if it suddenly gets hotter or something, or you go through like a natural cycle in which it does get hotter, even if it's just for like a few weeks per year, the infrastructure isn't designed to deal with that. Well, that's especially true in the UK. I mean, your infrastructure is made to deal with grayness and rain, not extremes of heat or cold.
Do you want to, Andre? Do you want to tell people where you are, who you are, what
Absolutely.
What from, promote some stuff?
My name is Andre. I am from the channel Midnight's Edge. We cover entertainment. We also cover the behind the studios, studio political machinations. Sometimes we also have to venture into the realm of politics. It's not something that we like to do, but it's something that we have to do as a consequence of our entertainment increasingly being politicized. We did a video about that as late as today, actually, which a lot of people really, really enjoy and are calling their favorite video on the channel. So do check out that video from earlier today, where we talk about the culpability of our stars and celebrities in recent assassinations and stuff like that. So yeah, that's a real whooper. So check that out on Midnight's Edge.
All right, excellent stuff. All right, well, we're a final panel member. We do have someone else dipping in a little bit later, but we will bring on our fourth panel member. It is Tom. How are you doing? You all right?
Tom Connors of Midnight's Edge and Midnight's Edge After Dark. He's got news for you.
I like the fact you had to make an actual soundboard intro because you don't intro yourself anymore. So you actually promoted yourself via a soundboard.
Got your
Smart.
attention.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, that's the best promotion you've done of yourself in months, mate. To be fair, so
To make one for me now.
oh dear. Do you want? Well, yeah. How you doing, Tom? You all right, mate?
Doing okay. Yeah, I'm here. It's been a long night. As Andre said, we dropped a video today that it's probably one of the longer videos we've done in a long time, and it was very extensive. So it
required a lot of editing to get past certain copyright restrictions and stuff like that, which Tom was able to manage and actually do. It took like 10 tries for like that one really long cringe fest of political advertisement by all of the celebrities assembled.
You know, there's a way.
Basically, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I was just gonna say there is a way actually to get around a lot of that copyright stuff if you're willing to do it. So, because in a video like that, you could do it this way: is overlay an image and drop the opacity. So you could do like the American flag, for instance, and still have the video playing in the background because it's an opacity over the top, so it has technically changed it, and it won't really pick up. Did you do that?
Kind of. Okay,
Yeah.
so what it was is what was triggering it was actually the music. As soon as I was able to remove the music, I actually have what we did is we just played it safe, and we used still images over the audio with no music, because I have CC Karaoke, who was able to take an AI and separate the music from the voice. So we just have the voice, and I just took still images of everybody. Now, I put a version up that has the actual video, and it cleared as long as I took out the music, which is weird and makes absolutely no sense.
It's probably the pairing, maybe. That's what's picked up.
Well, it's whatever's triggering the thing to claim it. Yeah. So, yeah. So, in
we've got
sense, but no, it was a lot of work, and so hopefully
massive video. Tom did amazing, so did Pablo, who also helped out. Check it out.
Nice. Well, we've got one more panel member to drop in here. He's just made it in the nick of time.
Nick of time.
Might help if I unmute.
Yeah.
I would have been here just a couple minutes ago, but then I saw that that new Romulus trailer dropped, so
yes.
I watched it. I'm glad I watched it before I jumped in.
Excellent. Right. Okay. Cool. Well, we're all here. Let's. Well, we've got some super chats actually to get to first, and then we'll start chit-chatting about some of our topics before I absolutely melt away. So Shake from Hunger Team drops in $10. No super chat. I think he's just supporting the show. He's been doing this a little while now. I've seen him. I've seen at least 2 or 3 of these now. So thank you so much, Shake, my dude. Do appreciate that. Thank you. And again, if you are meaning to say something, then let me know. I'm sure Andy will, grab that and put it in the chat for us. T-Nil, aka Dislikes Puns, for $5 says, I'll see your hot London and raise you hot Southern California, where here it's also hot, but everyone is either homeless or has bad grammar. Yeah, that's the same as London, mate. What are you talking about? Or, alternatively, in London, there's not bad grammar. They just don't speak English. So, homeless, don't speak English, and they're not English. They're not English. So, yeah, that's the same as over here.
I believe they have more fentanyl in southern LA though than in London.
We've got more machetes in London, though, mate.
This is true. This is true. Yeah.
I mean, it's horses.
You don't have a gun problem, but you have a machete problem. So, people will. Where there's a will, there's a way.
That's it. Yeah.
I feel like in Southern California, if you know English and Spanish, you can get by. But in London, you're going to need Urdu. You're going to need Afghani.
This is very true.
You're going to need various Somali dialects. Anyway.
Yeah. This is true for all of Europe, I'm sorry to say. All the major cities in Europe are like...
Yes, a disgrace. That's what I'll say. We've also got, just real quick as well, from PM for £5 and says, a lot of the Lotus Eaters that we love are comics 40k geeks. Love both sides of them. There you go. Excellent. Well, thank you so much. I will say, everyone because obviously everyone that's just done a super chat, thank you so much, genuinely. But, and there is a but, YouTube has taken 30% of that money. So PM, YouTube took £1.50 of that. Shake from Hunger Team, YouTube took $3 of that. If you can send it via Streamlabs, please do. Cut them out of the equation. They're not great to YouTubers, not to us that do this type of content anyway. You don't have to, obviously, but I can't stress it enough. And if I've got the opportunity to stress it, I will stress it. Streamlabs is pinned to the top of the chat, and it is linked down below. Please do it that way instead. But anyway, that's enough of my griping nonsense. Let's shuffle on, right? Let's do this. We'll start with something good, and then we'll go to something real bad. How about that? Sound good?
Sounds like a plan.
Excellent. Let's do this. Alien Romulus released its final trailer. They were super quick, thick and fast with the marketing. Like, it feels literally like a couple of weeks ago we had the first official trailer. Feels like it. It probably wasn't that. And now we've got the final trailer for Alien Romulus. I mean, fair enough, because it is releasing in a couple of weeks in theaters. You guys have all watched this trailer. I've watched it. I've done a breakdown of it, a discussion. My thoughts are it's an amazing trailer. Like, the hype is real. I'm really excited for this. And I just thought we could talk about it. What you thought of the trailer, what you thought of the marketing overall, your hopes for the film, what you potentially are a little bit, concerned about, all these kind of things. I just thought this would make for an interesting opener to today's show. And it's pretty hot off the press as well, because it's only been out for 2 hours now. So I guess, Nick, I'll go to you first because I know you're actually quite actively looking forward to this. So
Yeah,
let's get your thoughts.
I just watched this this final trailer, and you know, I really haven't liked an alien movie since Aliens. The first two are literally the best two films in the franchise, and I really haven't been that happy with anything else that's come out after it. But everything I'm seeing in these trailers, you know, I'm interested. This actually looks like it's going to be a decent or very good alien movie. So I'm going to be there day one, and they got a freaking badass popcorn bucket
See my tweet last night.
Yeah,
It was this morning, I think.
Which I am going to get two, just in case nobody gets you one. So yeah, I'm definitely going to see this opening night. I don't know. Yeah,
So
that
cool.
thing,
Look at that.
yeah, badass, and the way you can hold it.
That's
Yeah,
amazing. I'm down for that.
Well,
Yeah.
spoilers, like I said to you, Nate, I'm not really looking forward to this movie, but I want this popcorn bucket.
Yeah.
So good. So
Go just for the popcorn bucket, Tom.
Well,
Someone
I'm
needs to get
jealous
me
of
one
you
of
guys
these.
in America who get those amazing popcorn buckets.
well, if I
Well-
have enough, Andre, I'll get you one.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought it looked good. The thing that we got out of this trailer that I didn't know about before is it seems like this is like a heist. Like they're going to the station to like try to steal some shit off of it or something. But apparently they don't know that. I guess the station's been evacuated or everybody's dead on it, and they soon discover why nobody's there. Which who knows? Maybe they'll find one survivor, you know, like they did in Aliens with Newt.
I know some stuff.
Oh,
My
do you?
eyes and ears in Hollywood, but
Okay.
I won't tell you.
but yeah, it looks like they're kind of going back to old school Alien.
love this.
You know, with throwing in like some sprinkles of Aliens with a little bit of the action in there.
I love this attention to detail. Just real quick, sorry to interrupt, and I'll let you continue. But love this attention to detail. Weyland-Yutani on the belt buckles. Like it's just such a small thing that they don't need to do that they've done. It just makes you go, yeah, like people, you know, that like the franchise are on here doing this. So yeah, sorry, keep going.
And I've heard Tom's arguments on this, and I don't necessarily disagree with his arguments on this, but the way I look at the Alien franchise is sort of the same, or me personally anyways, is the same way I sort of look at Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Halloween. You know, it's a very simple formula for these Alien movies, and as long as they just give us just another cool alien story, you know, with good acting, I really hope the acting is going to be really good in this.
You know the problem with the movies you just mentioned, though, Nick? They have better continuity than the Alien franchise does.
That's why I said
Halloween, depending on which, but
yeah,
definitely Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street.
That's why
we'll have canon that they follow, but
that's why I haven't really enjoyed a whole lot of Alien content after Aliens. It's like the first two, but this one happens in between. So, you know, sort of like how Rogue One is literally the only Disney Star Wars movie that I'll put in with the other George Lucas Star Wars movies. This is looking like this could be one that I would throw in with Alien and Aliens because it takes place in between those two movies. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. You know, as long as there's good acting and it's a good story. You know, I'm not really looking for anything too drastically different than what we've already gotten. But yeah, I'm gonna go see it open at night for sure.
What does this look like? What is that? You'll recognize this. Think Game. It's the first time I've seen it in live action.
Oh, the little
telephone.
Yeah,
telephone from Alien Isolation.
Yeah, for when you save the game.
Yeah, never seen them before.
No.
Anyway, sorry. I thought you'd get that.
I never even noticed that. I wouldn't even have noticed that if I was trying to break the trailer down. I wouldn't have even noticed that. Good catch.
I did try and I was trying to spot what's on these because there's some artwork here, and I can't really make it out. Like this building, because I was thinking if it was going to be related to Rome because of Romulus and Remus, and this looks too modern to be Roman. The sort of architecture looks a bit too modern. I could be wrong, but it does look a bit too modern. Whereas this one here, difficult to make out, but it almost looks a bit like a chariot. But again, I don't know. I'm trying to make head and tails of a pretty tiny image. But
also, quick question: is it just me, or is it the same voice for the computers from the first Alien movie?
Yeah, it's Mother. It is the Mother voice. So,
okay. I thought so.
Same program. Same program. Right, let's go to you, Bo. What do you think?
It looks good, doesn't it? It looks good. I've got to be careful not to be too cynical these days and too sort of too much of a downer. No, but I have to catch myself. If something looks good, I have to admit it to myself, and this does. Exactly what Nick said. The first two movies are obviously by far and away the best ones. And this looks like it's in that vein, hopefully. I mean, a bit on steroids. Seeing loads and loads of face huggers and stuff. And sort of more explicit face hugging action going on. It looked like.
We've never seen that before for sure.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, we'll have to see. I'll definitely be. I think I'll almost certainly go to cinema to see it. Perhaps not on opening night or anything, but I'll probably go to cinema to see it, that is really saying something for me. I've got to really, really want it, or there's some sort of reason. Otherwise, I just wouldn't go to cinema. But I think I'll go to cinema for this. It looks good. I like the fact. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there's not a fantastic number of extremely famous people in it, which it looks like, which is good because there's that thing, isn't there? When there's someone really, really famous in something, they're going to live. Or probably at least for a while, because the studios had to spend so much money on their fee that they get to. Famously, actually, in Alien, they did the opposite with John Hurt, didn't they? Because John Hurt was already famous when Alien came out, and he dies right near the beginning, and everyone's shocked because John Hurt can't die near the beginning, So anyway, no, it looks good. It looks good. I won't hold my breath because I've seen quite a few trailers that look good, and then the film is crap. But no, it should be good. Hopefully, if the thing is about the writing, there's sort of two elements, isn't there? There's the actual plot, there's the actual story, whether the story is any good or it's just an absurd thing, and if the dialogue's any good as well. Because you could have quite a good story and the movie's kind of ruined by terrible dialogue. So we'll see. There's a number of ways to ruin a good movie, right? I mean, even I know we can talk about it later, but lots of Star Wars things like the Acolyte, they look good, right? A lot of money has been spent on sets and things and special effects, and it looks good, but the writing is so pants that it's ruined. So just fingers crossed that's not the case with this, I guess.
Yeah, no, good thoughts. Go to you, Andre, next, I think.
I think it looks fantastic. This is a movie that I haven't been paying too much attention to, partially because I don't want to know too much. I want this to be a pleasant surprise. I hope it will be. Based on what we are seeing here, I think it's going to be. That it might be the first kind of like worthwhile Alien movie since Aliens. Though I will admit that I also like the extended version of Alien 3. I think that's not half bad, but really after Aliens is where the franchise diverted, and this kind of like looks like, this is the movie we should have gotten all along, ever since Alien 3. But remind me, where in the timeline does this movie take place?
20 years after the events of Alien.
So it takes place in between Alien and Aliens. Right,
Yeah.
so after this, and if this is a cool movie in our head canon, we will have 3 Alien movies. We will have this one, surrounded by Alien and Aliens. That's a pretty cool trilogy right there.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I don't really have anything to say about it. I think it looks very cool. I think it sounds cool. I'm surprised to see this come out of Disney, but hey, if you just have the right creatives in charge, then you really can't go wrong. Now, I did not like the movie Don't Breathe. I've been very clear about that. But tonally, that movie was fine. So when you can take that, if you just can give that director a much, much stronger script, a proper Alien script, then I think that it's going to be a fine movie.
Yeah, perfectly valid. Good input. Tom, do you want to share anything on this, mate?
I mean, this trailer probably looked best of all the ones we've seen so far. And with Nick, at least you kind of have this side story of, they're going in to do this heist to rob some equipment from the station. The trailer hasn't given me a good reason why it has to be between Alien and Aliens yet. I still am just kind of in this place where I don't like prequels and midquels. Like, go into the future. There's other places to explore, especially if we're getting completely new characters that are unrelated to the first 2 films, right? Like, I guess unless you know something that I don't, I'm trying to figure out why this has to be, because nothing in this trailer even tells me that it takes place in between those movies. Right?
There's some connection to bits and pieces.
Well,
so I'm not going to
that
spoil
withstanding, like, I mean, certain things look better, but also, like, this trailer had to remind me that this was the same guy that made that god-awful Evil Dead movie.
Oh, yeah, I guess so.
And I hated that movie. I mean, as a scary movie, it was fine, but it was not an Evil Dead movie. That was my problem. It was missing some of the key elements that make an Evil Dead movie an Evil Dead movie. So hopefully we don't have the same problem here. I mean, this looks like an Alien movie. It feels like an Alien movie, but right there's a good example of what I was talking about last time. We're getting a few too many member berries and callbacks to the other films that it's like it's unnecessary. Like, we don't need that.
It does look member berry heavy, I must say. Sometimes that is really shit and annoying and ruins it, and other times it's great, right? It depends how it's handled. Sorry to interrupt.
No, I agree. And like, I just got fresh off of watching Cobra Kai season 6, and this is one of the first times in that whole series where I feel like they fumbled a little bit with some of the callbacks, because some of them kind of feel a little forced, and that's kind of what I was getting at here. Is like, but otherwise, yeah, like some of the bits and pieces that I'm seeing here, we're getting a little bit more of the story. The heist aspect is something different we haven't seen in the Alien universe yet. Again, here we go. She looks just like Ripley in Aliens, like she has the same outfit and everything. This whole strong whammon Ripley ripoff vibe, I'm just not jiving with, to me. But other than that, it looks okay, I guess. I'm interested in seeing it, I guess, to a point. I'm not sure if I'm going to like it or not, but I'll go see it for the popcorn bucket.
Well, yeah, one other thing, just from what Tom was saying, that I definitely hope that we find out in this movie is the time between Alien and Aliens. How did all these face huggers and aliens get on this station? Where did Weyland Yutani?
We did.
Okay, so you know how they're gonna kind of explain that in the movie. Yep. Okay, cool deal.
Yeah. So yeah, don't worry. It's there. It is there. All right, excellent, cool. Well,
I have one quick question about this as well. Like just a yes or no if it's in it, because what I always thought was fascinating with the first Alien movie. Now forget about the prequels, because I don't consider them to exist. As far as I'm concerned, they're not canon. They never happened. But in the first Alien movie, the first real Alien movie, the corporation, Weyland Yutani, obviously knows about the xenomorphs already. They already know everything there is to know about them. That's obviously why they're sent there as human decoys, because we learned this from Ash, that this species is so magnificent. He already knew. Is there any hint of this in that movie?
Yes.
Cool, because that's the story that needs to be told. And it hasn't been told in Prometheus.
There's hints. There's hints. If you know where to look, you'll get it.
Hopefully, then I hope that this will be a success, so that we can actually have that story told later on, and we can completely ignore Prometheus and its sequel as the fan fiction that it is.
Yeah.
Well, we've got some super chats to get to about this as well, and then we'll shuffle on. We've got one from T Neil, aka Dislikes Pun, says Alien Isolation come to mind for anyone else?
Oh, love that game. Oh, such a good story.
Game.
Yeah.
Such a good game. Such a good story. Amazing.
Yeah.
And sadly, still no sequel. Son of a bitch.
Yeah. And it's not an easy game.
No, it's no. I know it is not.
Yeah.
That is a hard game.
Yeah.
T-Nil, and again says it's not just a save point. This looks like that hospital level in Alien Isolation. I think it's where she finds the corrupted flight log. Yes, you are right. And but it's just that's what I just likened it to in the trailer. So something we've never seen before. But yes, you are completely right. And another one, thank you so much, T-Nil, says, have you seen Alien or Star Wars in the past 10 years? Member berries are the least of our concerns. This is true. Member berries are the least of our concerns. I'll settle for holding the camera steady.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not wrong, to be fair. Yeah, member berries are the least. Well, yeah, I mean, people would say member berries goes into writing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just real quick on the topic of this film with member berries. Because it's set between the films, I think there's an element where it's justified in that regard to have some member berries. It'd be a bit, it'd be weird saying what it's member berries to see an X-wing in a Star Wars film, again, because obviously they use them in, that's what they use, isn't it? You wouldn't be like, well, that's member berries. It's kind of a similar principle here. Like it's the one company, it's the same company, it's the same design language. You are seeing these things play out in between, linear sort of timeline now. So it kind of makes sense in that regard. Obviously, that's not me trying to argue against it. I appreciate some people don't want to see anything. But if you're liking it to the X-Wing situation, I think it becomes a little bit more palatable to those that don't want any member berries at all. So we've got some over on Streamlabs as well. So we've got one from Chaos is Fun. Says, Tom is such a Debbie Downer. Lift heavy things and be happy. Tom was actually very, very articulated himself in a very justified way. And I don't think he was being overly Debbie Downy about it at all. But I'm sure Tom can defend himself. But, I just thought I would say that as well. Do you want to say anything, Tom? I don't know if you...
Yeah, it's fair. I mean, yeah, there's plenty of times where I'm a Debbie Downer about a lot of things. But at the same time, I feel like I don't get proper notice when I'm positive about things too. So, I mean,
plus we've been burned so many times.
Yeah,
in the film industry,
especially with Alien, like that's the thing. It's like we literally have only 2 really decent movies. The third film works on its own in a way, but as a sequel to Aliens, it fails on every level. But beyond that, like it's a real miss franchise, especially that Ridley had to come in and put his stank all over it, and then he doubled down on this stuff, and it's like it's really looking obvious that he is feeling so burnt by the fact that Aliens got more of the notice. Because I know people will sit here and go, yeah, but that's the one that's always prestigious and everybody says is the better one. You're right. But never forget that Aliens was the one that got got Sigourney Weaver her Oscar nomination and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think it made more money at the box office. So, and it also solidified more of the canon in the Alien universe. So I always feel like he was feeling like he was left out of it, but it was like it was never really his thing to begin with. In fact, he wasn't even supposed to originally direct it anyway. He was more or less just there because they couldn't get anybody else.
Yeah, he was brought on at last minute. Pretty much everything there was set in stone before he, signed
by
up.
Dan O'Bannon and stuff like that.
Yeah, Ronald Shusett, Walter Hill, David Giller.
Walter Hill was supposed to,
Yeah. Hey You has super chat $3 over on Streamlabs. Says there was a sequel game mobile game, called Alien Blackout. It's pretty good for a mobile game, but not the sequel we all want. I agree that I'm over the female protagonist in the Alien movies. Just tell a new, interesting story. I mean, this is a new story.
It wouldn't be so bad, but that was my thing with they keep trying to make her she has outfits that look just like Ripley. She has a haircut that looks just like Ripley. It's like, come up with something. I don't care that it's got a female protagonist. That's not the issue I have. It's like, quit trying to recapture that Ripley thing. You're not gonna. Ripley is Ripley.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
we've got one more super chat, guys, and then I'm melting here. Let's crack on a little bit. JW for £5 says, how do you lads feel about Alien 3? So, how do you feel about Alien 3? I myself, it is actually my guilty pleasure movie. I think it's not actually that bad. It's bad in parts, bad continuity-wise, linearly, etc. But I don't hate it, and I do put it on and watch it every now and then. I did a drunken Alien marathon like last year, I think it was. And yeah, the movies do get progressively worse, but I still enjoyed it. It was when I really got to Alien Resurrection was when I had to drink significantly more because that film fucking sucks. So, Bo, what do you reckon to Alien 3?
I do think Alien Resurrection and Prometheus are bad films. Alien 3, well, you must remember, if anyone remembers, there's quite a long time between Aliens and Alien 3. It seemed to me all through my teenage years, or all my, like, it seemed like my whole life, I was waiting for the third Alien film to come out. And when it finally did, it was a big anticlimax and I didn't like it. I went back to it years later on VHS or DVD and thought, actually, it's not that bad. It's actually half decent. It's half decent.
As a movie, like I said, on its own, it's fine.
Yeah,
it's even decent, especially the extended cut or whatever, or assembly cut or whatever.
Yeah, the assembly cut, yeah.
And the thing is like I said, as a sequel to Aliens, it fails on every fundamental level. But if you take it aside and look at it as a movie on its own, it's actually a really well done horror film, right? A sci-fi horror film. It's really well paced. It's got a lot of the things that made Alien famous. If it was a movie that was like not Alien 3, but in the vein of Alien, it probably would have been accepted better. It kind of reminds me of Godzilla 98, right? As a Godzilla movie, it fails on every freaking level. But as a fun, like, monster run wild in New York movie, it's fine. Yeah. So, like, I guess, I mean, yeah. So, I mean, if you look at it that way, I don't see a problem with Alien 3, but I totally understand how the fans were betrayed back then.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It just kind of broke my heart that Hicks isn't in it.
Yes.
I wanted to see Hicks be a badass again, and they don't give you that. Quick thing: did anyone play Alien 3 on the SNES, the Super Nintendo?
Oh yeah,
yes.
I played it on the Mega Drive. Pretty much the same game.
Yeah.
A fantastic game.
Yeah, it's good fun.
Actually, I probably played the Sega version, but yeah.
Yeah.
Nick, do you want to share your thoughts real quick on Alien 3?
I like the director's cut version the most. I was also disappointed. I went and saw it in theater when it came out. I was disappointed. Newt and Hicks. Was it Hicks?
Hicks, yeah.
Yeah, that they died. Of course, we get, she plugs Bishop back up, which was a cool scene where he accesses the computer. So, yeah, that was the most disappointing part for me. I actually like the original script for Alien 3, where Hicks is actually still in it. That they have the audiobook for. I actually like that version of Alien 3 better, but yeah, I agree with what Tom says. In isolation, it's not a bad movie. I just didn't like some of the decisions that they made with the movie, going into it.
Yeah. We got a super chat here from Sci-Fi Quest for $1.30. Says Alien 3 Special Edition is far better than the theatrical version. Agree. But still wish the egg made sense or some kind of explanation. Agreed. Absolutely agreed.
Same.
Right, well, we will and real quick as well, Accent Sally, the Alien 3 soundtrack by Elliot Goldenthal is good. Yeah.
Yeah, the music soundtrack's great. Yeah.
Yeah, I had no issue with the music in the movie.
There you go. We will move on from that just real quick. This will annoy you, Bo. Not to get too into it, just real quick. You heard the Prime Minister's announced £84 million to send to Africa for training, getting jobs for Africans. Yeah, mate. They're going to tackle the migration crisis at source by just giving them money there. And then they'll still come over.
There's a thing by law, someone like Rory Stewart talks about how if we have to give a certain percentage of our GDP to foreigers. So like, I can't remember what it is, but something like 1% or something. So whatever our GDP is, it'll be millions, a small percentage of that. By law, we've signed things that by law we're locked in to sending that abroad.
Would Disney be considered a foreigner with all the money you guys give them.
Yeah, well, would at this one. Anyway, there you go. I just thought I've just seen that pop up on Twitter, and it annoyed me, so I thought I'd annoy you with it as well. Anyway, right, let's shuffle on. So start with something technically kind of good, I think. Let's move on to something utterly terrible.
Oh God.
Well, so I think we should have like some like funeral procession for Star Wars and the Acolyte. So Star Wars is officially dead. I am bitterly disappointed that it's looking unlikely that we will get another season, because I could have bought my
Man, we had the best month in the history of our channel in the month of June because of this shit show. The Acolyte.
Disappointed. I really wanted this Toyota Celica. But anyway, so let's talk about episode 8 of the Acolyte. Darth Plagueis the Perv. He was in it. Like in the same cave they were just in. So where was he? Where was he?
Hide now.
Is there an adjacent room in that cave where they just were? Why is he creeping around a corner when they're on a ship? They're not going to see him.
Yeah. And does Smilo Ren know that he's there?
Well, if not, I mean, that's some voyeuristic stuff.
Probably he's not aware. My best guess would be that Smiler Ren does not know that he's there, because he's not supposed to have an acolyte of his own. Remember, the implication here is that Smiler Ren is still the trainee. And because he's the trainee, he's not supposed to take on a trainee of his own. So he's on a rogue mission right there. I'm sure that's going to be the central storyline of season 2. If there is a season 2, which I would not count out, because remember, this is Disney, this is Lucasfilm, and the fact that the audience have rejected this, that means nothing to those people.
No.
I mean, if it did, they would have ended everything that's coming out from both Lucasfilm and Marvel, because none of it is really working. But still, there it is. So I wouldn't count out season 2 just yet. Just because, remember, everyone who's saying it's not going to be a season 2, they are basing that analysis based on common sense and what would happen if you were run by money and fiscal motivations. That's only partially true for Disney.
Yeah, I will say I will rain on your parade, because Leslie Headland has come out and implied that, like the stranger, the Smilo Ren, does know that he's there, like they're working together and stuff like that. But anyway,
she didn't even do that right.
Well, yeah. So just another thing that they don't explain. It's just everything's a mystery. You're like confused. This is the worst writing I think of any show I've ever seen in my entire life.
Let's get your review, Nick. Over to you. Give us your review of it all.
It was utter shit from start to finish. The whole show was. I mean, there were certain moments with the acting, certain scenes, some of the music in the show that I actually liked. Where I was like, okay, that's actually not bad. Okay, the Lee Jong Jae, who played Jedi Master Soul, he was one of the better actors in the show, and he learned how to speak English for this role. It's his first English speaking role, and he performs most of the other actors in the show. And then Smilo Ren, actor, Dollar Store General, Ezra Miller, he was also not bad. I thought his acting performance was pretty well done. But overall, the writing of this whole entire show was just god awful. It was a mess. It was all over the place. The wishy-washiness of May and Osha going from, oh, I'm turning myself in, to, no, I'm going to try to kill the Jedi. Oh, I'm trying to kill the Jedi again. Well, now I'm going to kill my sister. No, I love my sister. Now we're BFFs. No, now we're going to fight. It's all over the place. I was so confused and just like, what is happening? Why are all these characters constantly changing? throughout the entire show.
Well, it was like that in the last episode because May was like, "No, you're going to pay for your crimes. I'm going to take you in, Master Soul." And then Osha just comes around the corner, is like, "No, I'm just going to murder you." And she's like, "Yeah, okay." Like, what?
Yeah.
Like you've just said you wanted to take him in and you wanted him to pay for. So, what?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. And now, and then on top of that, we get freaking the mood ring lightsaber. Where I guess if you're angry and the crystal happens to get cracked and starts bleeding, it will then turn red. That's not how, this is something that was introduced in the Disney era comic books of the Darth Vader series. And it was a process. It wasn't just something that just happened like that. Of course, during George Lucas Star Wars, it wasn't anything like that. All the Sith kyber crystals were synthetic, and that's why they were red. But yeah, the whole thing is just god awful terrible. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. It sucks. If anybody out there has not watched this, please save your time and energy. Don't even watch any of it. It's terrible. Yeah, the introduction of Plagueis, which I guess he is like a chameleon, because it's like when he touches that wall, it's like his hands like turn into like look like the Rock.
I just thought that was the color of his hands, to be honest.
I don't know. Yeah, when I was like, is he have the ability to like be a chameleon? Like, was he just
maybe that's why he was in that cave hiding from everyone.
Yeah, maybe he was up against the wall and just like,
just watching
made himself look like.
I wonder if you watched them in the rock pools.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. This is the greatest Star Wars ever in the world ever.
Yeah, 85%.
Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, 85% of the fan base have completely rejected this. I don't see how they could justify a season 2, but man, I'm all for season 2. I'm all for it because I've never had more fun roasting the show. Yeah, and Nate'll get his car. But yeah, just hanging out with everybody and just ripping this thing and roasting it was that was the funnest part of this whole journey of the Acolyte for me. The show was terrible. I hated every second of watching it. It was the everything that came after that with everybody on YouTube and on social media, all the conversations and the roast parties that we'd have, just ripping this thing apart. That was the best part about this whole thing. So yeah, it sucks, but and the Jedi are bad. Yoda finds out he's I guess a liar or incompetent. When it gets to the prequels now, the Jedi are liars. They blame the whole thing on Soul. It's the fault of one failed man. Make sure you get that man hate in there. It's all his fault. It's all the man's fault, Leslie. This was like a complete Leslie Headland therapy session. Her and her sister, real life drama, with the Osha and May thing. And then the Jedi mind wipe. He just waves his hand. Your mind is now wiped. Man, they could literally use that. Why were they not using that in any like of the battles? Like, you're sitting there having a lightsaber fight, and then just all of a sudden, then they just forget how to use a lightsaber, who they are, all that. It's like they introduced these force powers just to help with the plot, the storytelling.
It's MacGuffin, isn't it?
Yeah. The force powers don't really exist. They're only needed when the plot calls for it. Which is stupid. It is so dumb. This whole show is dumb. I don't understand the people that like it. I don't get it. Like, I literally have tried to be like devil's advocate and tried to see it through a different lens of like, all right, the people that are just think this is a great show and are enjoying it. What is it? What is it about this show that there is to enjoy? And I just can't find it. I can't. So yeah, in closing, it sucks. F this show. Star Wars is dead.
Go on then, Bo. I unfortunately subjected you to this utter drivel
Yeah,
for the past couple of weeks. Sorry about that. I know, I know we're still a member of the ECHR, but don't sue me. All right.
No, it is terrible. It really is terrible. The writing is really poor. Yeah, using new false features and things as a MacGuffin is pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. And I think I said this before. I think last week or maybe the week before. Any piece of art, or certainly a film or TV, its first job is to make you care, even if you hate the characters. That's something. Their first hurdle is to make sure you're not completely indifferent. Like when it comes to writing prose, a novel or something, the first job before you get into like the nature of the plot and characterizations is to make it a page turner, is to make you want to keep reading. Okay, so this fails in that, or it did for me. Absolutely fails in it. So when they're having all these fights in this last episode, I'm sitting there like, I don't care. I'm not feeling anything. I don't care who wins. I don't care why they're fighting. I don't care about any of it. And yeah, the way the twins, they got the same haircut now. Those stupid dreads, those annoying crash helmet of hair. As a bald man, I can't comment on other people's haircuts. But anyway, it's a shit haircut. And they swapped clothes, haven't they, and stuff. And it's like, so who's who exactly, and which one's what? And no, I don't care. No, actually, I just don't care. So in that sense, it's an absolute fail. It's just an absolute fail. And the only thing you could possibly say for it is a lot of the backgrounds, a lot of the sets, they do look good. Obviously a fair amount of the insane budget has gone into making it look good. So there's that. But yeah, the writing and the dialogue. I mean, the acting. Some of the acting in this. I think the acting of the main character, the black girl, is pretty bad. I mean, it's poor. It really is. And the little character thing on her hip, that's just obnoxious, annoying. The little character that's the little like half
a little android, right? The
squirrel thing. Yeah, the little
Basil,
bot. That's crap. Yeah. And the little thing, the tiny little midget, like half squirrel thing, whatever that is.
The hamster.
The hamster thing. Like, that sucks. It just, the whole thing sucks, really. And yeah, I mean, if there is a season 2 and you want to review it, I might refuse. I might actually. I might just say, well, I just won't come on, I'm afraid, Nate. I'm still with you. I'm with you. I'll help you out where we can. But no, I probably would still watch it for you, just for you, Nate. But no, it sucks really bad. Yeah, I felt that's my overriding thing about the 8 episodes, is that it made me feel nothing. They weren't so bad that I sort of hated them. Like Nick was saying, he sort of enjoys it on some level because it gives him something to rail against. It gives him something to sort of to hate on. I wasn't even feeling that. I was really sitting there with like complete indifference when they're having those couple of fight scenes. It's like I don't care if they're going to throw in that one of the big characters gets killed or something, or there's a twist or something or other, and I'm like, I'm just. So that's my overriding take, is that indifference.
I like it. I like it. Just real quick to add before we move on to another panelist thoughts, is that ultimately, Plagueis learned all of this, how to create, Anakin from some lesbo space witches.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it all
they
comes
started
back to
the
women.
whole thing. It all comes
The
back
fourth
to the
is
women.
female.
Yeah. Yep.
They got it. They got their weird sort of masturbatory fan fiction in there. Kathleen Kennedy. Tom, what do you write? Did you watch it? I don't know if you did actually, to be fair, mate.
I watched Cobra Kai instead.
That's
much better choice.
Andre, we'll go to you then.
Yeah, I saw it. Of course, I had to finish. It's such a relief to be done with it. It's been such suffering to sit through. And in no way do I consider this actual Star Wars. This is just high budget fan fiction. It's the only way that I can see this. I cannot accept this as part of canon, nor should anyone else. It's just shockingly bad. in everything, in absolutely everything. It is so poorly written. It is so poorly executed in every detail that Leslie Headland would come out and say that this is the most profound thing she has ever worked on.
Yes,
Only goes to show what kind of an echo chamber they must be in over there, and also how incompetent Kathleen Kennedy is for ever having allowed this. And what I think is interesting, because I'm more interested in the meta conversation about this, because there's nothing to discuss in the show itself, because it's all bad, it's all fan fiction. All it does is to basically rewrite and reframe Star Wars from the prequels outwards, and I'm not having that. So to me, the interesting thing here is that everyone has turned on that. This doesn't have any fans. Like even the prolific fans with an actual face and with an audience that they need to succumb to a little bit as well, in addition to just bill payers in Hollywood. They've turned on this because they know there's no way that they can keep on defending this and retain a shred of credibility. That's kind of like what Grace Randolph did as well. I mean, she came out and said she even felt betrayed by Lucasfilm and Disney for not coming out to her defense after she got railroaded for defending this to begin with. She's not going to do that mistake again, I think.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That is our review of the show. We've got some super chats about this. So, Sci-Fi Quest, $1.30 says, I had a dream, thousands of fans dressed as clones and stormtroopers marching on Lucasfilm to the Order 66 march music from Anakin's march to the Jedi Temple.
Apparently, I heard there was a march on Disney from the employees. What was that, yesterday, I think?
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Accent Seller says, the Acolyte episode finale was so bad, I wanted a refund from Pirate Bay. Then I opened the door and went outside to get some air. I was on a plane. Accent Seller says, I think the reason the silly beaver disappeared and reappeared like that, he had a masturbation addiction. So effing stupid.
Yeah, why did he disable Soul Ship when he's trying to get the killer?
I've no idea.
Why would you do that?
I was so dumb, mate. Honestly, I've no idea.
Literally, the list of dumb shit that happens in this is too long for me to even remember it all.
Couple of things, Oh, sorry. Oh. I was just going to say super quick. They think that we Darth Maul had the two-ended lightsaber.
Yeah.
They think that we really, really love that, and our minds will be blown by the Green Lady had the whip version of a lightsaber.
Oh yeah, that we saw once in the entire show, and that was it.
And the guy in this had a lightsaber and a shorter lightsaber. They think we're going to be, and then the cheapest thing of all, at the very, very end, where you see the back of Yoda's head, they think we're going to be like, whoa!
Oh my
god! We've got to have a season 2 now, but we're just like, really?
Yeah, of course. That's exactly what they imagined.
So funny.
Yeah, and it was the Last Jedi puppet that they used, where he looks like frail and even older than an Empire. It's like, this is like 100 years before the prequels. Right. It should have been the CGI, you know, Yoda.
Or just a younger puppet. Just make a younger looking puppet. Normal Man, super chat, $20 Canadian says, people wanted Plagueis, the character from the EU book, not Plagueis, the key ring that Disney jangles to get the shills to cream themselves. Until Disney stops making vapid theme park rides disguised as movies, I am done.
Fair 100% spot on. Yeah.
Fair enough. We got a membership super chat. Donovan Bradford, been a member for 38 months. So that's bloody insane. Thank you so much, man. And Donovan says, the people that like it feel like they have to, otherwise they aren't real fans, or they started with bad Star Wars, so their expectations are lower. That's probably true, to be fair, actually. Also, people's attention spans are terrible, right? Like a lot of this show contradicted itself. And I think it's made for the TikTok generation. Like, it's a legit thing, is that younger people's attention spans are awful. They are just terrible. They are making So I've got a producer friend, like an actual just a friend that I chit chat to. And interestingly, he was telling me how, because he's obviously producing stuff, Netflix currently is they're genuinely making some stuff, not all, but they're genuinely making some products which is designed specifically to coincide with people going on their phones. As in, it's not that attention grabbing, so you can just sit there and be on your phone at the same time, because they genuinely are aware that that's what people do, which is shocking. Don't cater to retards.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like, what are you doing? But there you go. I just thought that was an interesting anecdote.
Seems like each generation gets dumber and dumber.
No, they literally do.
Yeah,
like that's a literal thing. Like,
Yeah.
statistically,
One thing
demonstrably so.
I'll say about that, I think perhaps you'll see like a bifurcation, a split between some people will become more highbrow and more okay with long form content and extremely deep type of content, and a whole set of other people, a whole different cast of society, will only be able to deal with TikTok 30-second stuff. It's not that the whole of humanity uniformly is getting dumber. It's more like a split. I think.
Yeah, true. No, I'll go with that.
Because there is a massive market for long form content, for deep movies, interesting movies where you have to pay attention, and it is complicated and it is well done. It's just unfortunately it's fewer people, I'm afraid.
I actually watched a 6-hour lore breakdown video on Final Fantasy VII one time and watched the whole 6 hours and loved the whole thing.
Accent Celis here says, I can't get over the quality difference between Andor and lesbian headlamps, the Acolyte. It's night and day. Andor is the HBO of Star Wars. Love it. So, Andor is created. Well,
the writing is way superior.
The writing's significantly better, but you also have. I mean, I do actually think the Acolyte had British film crews on it. I don't know why it's so bad, but I think that would genuinely just be because of Leslie Headland. Whereas Tony Gilroy on Andor with an entirely British film crew, pretty much, it is gonna be great. That's a recipe for great success. So, but yeah, interesting. And then we've got. I think that's about it, really. Let me have a look over here. No, okay, cool. Well, we've got some others which are off topic of the Acolyte. So Jake Lawrence super chats $5. Says Guy the Dark Hero from 1994 is always more fun than the Acolyte. Sorry, so we did say it was the Acolyte based. We got where is it?
The power of one.
No.
The power of two.
Listen to that. Stop
The
it.
power of many. Scissor me timber, sexy space witch, let's screw.
Wallace Franks for £5 says, Mr. H, you mentioned FX being really good. Have you watched The Strain? Would you do an explain video about it? I haven't, no. FX are great. FX are genuinely just absolutely fantastic.
New Alien shows coming to FX, right?
Yeah, that's one of our topics. FX are consistently putting out bangers, and I will sing Shogun's praises until the cows come home. Shogun is some of the best TV for years. So yeah, cheers for that. We got one from Leicester San Jose. Says, I've been watching an anime plus-sized elf, 12-minute episodes. I don't need shows to be a specific length, but make good use of time. Yeah? Yeah, agree with that. Absolutely. All right, okay. Andy McCallum. I've been a member for 39 months. Thank you so much, my dude. Modern in the chat as well as Zombie Box Reviews. So, let's... what have we done? One good, one bad. Let's go to one good. All right, I'm going to compliment sandwich this biatch today. Where is it? Here we go. So, Marvel has come crawling back to the Russo brothers. Okay, now I'm not going to be one of these people that sits here and says, fuck Disney, fuck Marvel. No, because ultimately I do want good content.
Yeah.
And the Russo brothers did put out some good Marvel movies, right? Like I think go back to Favreau, to be perfectly honest, you know, Iron Man, like great film. But the Russo brothers did put out some of the good Marvel movies. In fact, the Russo brothers by themselves have actually put out garbage, but when they were under Marvel, they were putting out good stuff. And coincidentally and funnily enough, Marvel, without the Russo brothers, have been putting out garbage, but with the Russo brothers, they're putting out good stuff. So maybe this is a match made in heaven. You know, they did Captain America: The Winter Soldier, for instance, arguably one of the better Marvel movies.
It's my favorite
exist.
Marvel movie.
Exactly. So I don't hate this. They want apparently the Russo brothers for both of the Avengers movies, Avengers 5 and 6. So I'm not going to be one of these people that poo-poos it and laughs at it, right? Like, what does that achieve? You know, I do want good content at the end of the day. And this is a step in the right direction. I think it's funny from one perspective, though, because I do know the Russo brothers, they did, you know, shit talk Marvel for a while. Like, they weren't great on Marvel. And, you know, they signed a pretty big deal with Netflix as well. That's clearly just gone up in flames now, I would imagine. But I don't hate this news. I don't hate the news at all. Just to coincide with this, though, Robert Downey Jr. is rumored to return as Doctor Doom.
What?
So he's going to return as Tony Stark and
big
then
fat
become Dr.
robot
Doom.
or whatever the hell the name of that website is.
No, Jeff Snyder.
Comicbookmovie.com.
Jeff Snyder. No, it's Jeff Snyder. This is just an article, but it is from Jeff Snyder, who actually does have some pretty good leaks. So I just thought I'd pepper that in there because that's a terrible idea, and I would hate that. But there you go.
You know what that sounds like to me? That Robert Downey Jr. as Doom. To me, that sounds like Marvel knows that they have leakers in their midst. So they put out a bunch of different fake scoops in several places in the organization, and they see which one makes it to the public.
Yep.
There they have
Andre's got a point. Because that sounds silly.
Yeah, well, let's not dwell on that too much. I mean, let's talk about the actual, because the main.
Well,
thing is
let's not let the Russos off the hook altogether, because they did make Fat Thor and some other issues with, like, Endgame was not as well received as everything else they did. But that being said, I see this as pretty much what Kevin Feige said he was going to do a few months back. I had pointed out that he had made a statement. I don't remember exactly how he phrased it, but basically he was kind of saying that they were going to go back to more seasoned directors in so many words. Because this experiment with all these young DEI directors was not working. He didn't say that part, but I'm just saying it's pretty clear. That's problem one that needs to be solved, is they need to get some people behind these that kind of know what they're doing. Right. So this does not surprise, especially considering the way they did badmouth Marvel. It is kind of surprising. That's the part that surprises me. So that's where I'm coming to the conclusion that this is Feige on his knees going, I need you right now. I think
that, you know what I think? Sir, I didn't mean to intercut, but just on that note, I think that they need each other. Because memory serves,
true,
it was the Russo brothers that probably leaked to the press that they were interested in doing another Avengers movie, and with that out there, Kevin Feige would look like an idiot if he didn't take them up on it. So they may have forced that to happen. Because as you mentioned earlier, Mr. H, they have made the best Marvel movies, but without Marvel, their movies have completely and utterly sucked. So this is the kind of thing, just like Peter Sellers and Blake Edwards, they made decent movies all on their own, but together magic happened. And I think something like that is going on, that when these two guys are paired with the Marvel Universe, magic things happen. But they need good writers as well.
Yes.
Because what they have to do, they have to get back the same writers that helped them with Captain America, the Winter Soldier, with Captain America: Civil War, with the first two Avengers movies that they did. I forget their names. Script Doctor tweeted this out earlier, saying it doesn't help if they have them on board if you don't get those writers back. So hopefully, the first thing that they're going to go is go to be Kevin Feige and say, okay, now you have us, and then bang on the table and say, now we need those guys, because we cannot work that with the hacks that you have running around here right now. All of your assorted DEI hires, they're all useless. They all got to go. All of your movies are going to flop. If this is going to work, we need those guys back. And if they get those back, we are in good hands. I said before, I have zero faith in Kevin Feige at this point. Zero.
Same.
I have no faith whatsoever in any of the people who are in his writing staff in this moment. The only way that Marvel can be rescued is with new blood from outside. That's what happened with Deadpool versus Wolverine. That's new blood from outside. And hopefully that blood is fresh enough that it's not going to be completely tainted and ruined by Kevin Feige and his cronies within Marvel. Hopefully these guys are going to recognize that the only way this works is we need the outside writers that we've worked with before. Then they can actually turn things around. But just those guys here, these directors, it doesn't help that they're back. It doesn't help which characters they bring back if they can't bring back the writers that helped push their past movies, Endgame possibly aside, into greatness. But I will also say that the problem with Endgame was Kevin Feige and his team right there, because the stuff that didn't work was all the setup for all the shit that came later.
Well, I'll say this with respect to the writers. The last we heard about Avengers 5 was Michael Waldron was fired, which was the writer. He's the writer of Multiverse of Madness. Terrible, terrible film. And then we hear that these guys are on board now, or at least in talks to, at the very least. So it all points to them coming back and then bringing on new writers. It is what it sounds like, doesn't it? So I think hopefully that is the case. Bo, what do you reckon?
Well, this is one of the topics in general that I'm probably not best suited to talk about, particularly the way you sort of passed over to obviously didn't watch the Acolyte. I mean, there's loads of Marvel films I haven't even seen. I got off the Marvel train quite early. Like when Endgame came out, I was like, yeah, okay, I'll watch it at some point, I guess. It's annoying when people like think they're too good for something like this. I don't mean to be like that. I know it comes across as conceited, but I haven't cared about Marvel stuff for a long time. And when I was a kid, I was never into Marvel comics or DC really. My older brother had loads of 2000 AD, and I read loads of his 2000 AD. I never collected. I never collected Marvel comics and like loved Marvel stuff. I never did. So when and I'm old enough to have already been an adult when they started the whole Marvel thing. And it's the same with Harry Potter. Everyone's really into Harry Potter. I never liked Harry Potter.
Same, me neither.
I don't care about this kid. I don't care. No, I'm already a grown man who works in a bank and pays bills. No, I don't care about this kid.
Yeah.
Right. And so, I'm afraid. And so I'm afraid for me. When all news comes out, I'm just like, Avengers.
Glaze over.
A bit. I'm afraid. Yeah,
that's fair. Well, did I get your thoughts on this, Nick?
No. So the way I see this is, having the Russo brothers back is great, but the thing is, when they came into this back in 2014, when they did Captain America and Winter Soldier, they already had a great foundation that the MCU had set up. The writers for that were Chris Marcus and Stephen McFeely. They haven't written anything for Marvel since the last Avengers movie, Infinity War and Endgame. So I definitely think they need to get those two guys back for sure. But the foundation of the MCU at this point is trash. So I don't for me, it's like you could bring in the Russo brothers, you could bring in Chris Marcus and Stephen McFeely back writing, but what are they going to do with what they've established to this point? With the Marvels, Doctor Strange, the multiverse crap, the Eternals, like all this just nonsense garbage.
Secret Invasion, lest we forget, because now Rhodey, he's been gone since the events of Civil War.
Yeah,
they retroactively decided.
Yep, and like all this stuff that they've done, how are they going to write and direct themselves out of this?
Well, isn't the next 2 Marvel films the Secret Wars or whatever? So, like, can't they reset things through some shenanigans?
Yeah, they do have the ability.
Maybe maybe they could do that.
That's the only way I can see the Robert Downey Jr. rumor having any weight to it, is that it's not our Tony Stark. It's a Tony Stark from another universe. Sorry, Nick.
That is what the rumor is.
Yeah. So, I don't know how they're going to fix the MCU, unless they do some shenanigans like that, where it's basically like a soft reboot, reset of the universe, and then move forward from that point. Like I just saw in the news yesterday, Microsoft, basically got rid of their whole entire DEI team. They're like, this isn't working. More and more companies are doing this. Hopefully Disney will see the light at some point and stop with all this DEI nonsense and actually get qualified, experienced people in here to fix all this, and do the same with Star Wars. I'm not holding my breath for any of that to happen. But I think they got a very tough job ahead of them with the current state of the MCU.
Yep, I agree with that. Tom, you want to add in some final thoughts?
I pretty much agree with everybody, and I mean, just kind of bouncing off of what Andre and I were kind of saying earlier at this point. I don't trust Kevin Feige, like Andre said, but I just kind of hope that this is a sign that Kevin Feige, because he's not dumb. Okay. If there's probably anybody in Hollywood who can probably learn and pivot real quick, it's probably him. And I think that's the rumors I keep hearing, and I've heard from other people, and they keep being the same rumors. He's licking his wounds. He learned the hard way. He even said he underestimated Bob Chapek, if you remember. Like, he is not somebody who's above admitting that they fucked up a little bit. Pardon my French. And I think he has realized they've screwed up. Now, Andre and I have talked about this many times in the morning show. I'm sure we brought it up here before too, as well. Like, the problem is they have, Deadpool versus Wolverine, which is an island in a sea of piss right now.
Yeah. 100%.
And unfortunately, these other movies, they have to release. There's no way around it. Now, I don't agree with them throwing more good money after bad at them. They should have just chopped them down as much as possible, got them out there quietly, or chopped them up into Disney Plus shows that nobody will watch. But they can't do that because they have to be in theaters, unfortunately, at this point. So that's the problem. But there is a few Disney Plus shows that they could just flush. I'm talking Ironheart, stuff like that. I mean, it kind of has been memory hold, even though it's still kind of sitting there in kind of like, it's like Schrodinger's series right now. It's both.
Well, in fairness,
canceled and not canceled at the same time. Yeah.
Well, we will find out this month because they're set to appear at SDCC. So I guess that will actually be when
if we get like, if we have Feige come out and he's got like this whole new kind of direction for Marvel going forward, that kind of somewhat confirms what we were saying, especially if he says, like, not only the Russos coming back, we're getting, maybe either some previous veteran Marvel directors or even some new veteran directors who are going to finally get to throw their hat into the Marvel ring, right? Because I mean,
I'm surprised there'd be any veteran directors that would want to.
I know that's the problem, right? But again, it's one of those cases where if you catch the right falling stars as far as directors go, you might be able to snag them up as trying to take a shot. And a lot of these guys are comic book fans.
Yeah.
Right. Even Tarantino's talked about how he'd love to do a Luke Cage movie. Now, they would never let him do a Luke Cage movie the way he'd want to, but wouldn't you want to see a badass blaxploitation Quentin Tarantino Luke Cage movie? I know I would.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, look, just to round it out real quick, because we do need to shuffle on, but I would say it's actually too little too late. I do think they have sort of screwed the pooch, as it was, that the universe may be a bit too broken, and also the goodwill from people sort of lost it now. But
yeah,
we'll see.
That's kind of where I'm at.
Gypsy Danny Mixboy for $4.99 says Disney and the Russo brothers to each other. You could not live with your own failures. Where did that bring you? Back to me. Yeah, does seem that way, mate. We got one from Chaos is Fun over on Streamlabs and says the downside I see is using the current cast of characters like Captain Black Falcon and Kang Valkyrie. People just won't care enough to watch it, even if they're good movies. Not to mention the tick box commies in the writer's room and non-C Disney management. Yeah, I agree with all of that as well.
Oh, yeah. What are they going to do with Kang now at this point?
Well, and it's funny because, I was just going to address that because virtual reality fitness brings up a good question. Or a good point. There's still people invested in the Kang story. Yep. Is there even a Kang story left? But that's the other rumor going around, is that they are thinking of, there's a few options up for Kang. Well, no, not scrapping it. They're actually going to recast it. I've been hearing now, and it's like, why? Because that's my question to you guys.
Some of them, because they don't have to do that. Because basically, Kang's storyline was concluded in Loki season 2. That ended Kang right there. Because the only way that they bring him back is because they have already invested so much into a script where they bring him back. Here's like the thing. The only way you get Kang back at this point after Loki season 2 is you have to make a concerted effort to bring him back. Because as it is right now, the entirety of the DVA's mission is to end all the Kangs as they appear. That's what the TVA does. That's all they do, as Loki is holding the entire multiverse together. That is now the canon of the MCU. So the only way that you bring him back is that you first have to jump through some hoops to actively make that happen. You have to address Loki season 2. You have to get into the TVA. Either that or you have to strike Loki season 2 from canon. But otherwise, you have to address the fact that he's gone. They have basically already solved the problem. They would have to bring it back again by recasting, only to bring back a script that maybe they already spent millions on developing, to which I would say, just trash it. Just keep it in the trash. You tried Kang, didn't work, let it rest, don't recast him, just let that whole thing go. Do the multiverse, but there ain't no Kang anymore. You tried and you failed. Leave it at that.
I wonder what they're going to do with this Deadpool Wolverine movie with the TVA and how that's going to...
Well, we will wait and find out. We will wait and see. Accent Seller real quick says Silo season 1 on Apple TV is also a good series. I've heard it's okay.
I've heard
Thomas Payne says, why do you think Western culture view animations as childish, while Eastern culture does not? US has Simpsons comedy, but not any other genres. Culturally, I guess. I don't know, to be honest. I mean, you've got plebs like Matt Walsh saying that anime is like satanic or some other garbage take that utter moron has sometimes.
Yeah.
He's just a rage farmer sometimes. He really is a bell end. Absolute bell end. So I don't know. I just think it's culture, to be honest.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know if I agree with Thomas Payne here. Simpsons has been dead for the last 20 years.
Yeah, I've not seen a Simpsons.
It's a walking corpse. As far as animation goes now, I'd say we have a pretty varied. I've seen a lot more adult-oriented animation the last few years, especially if you go by streaming, right? Like, because
I think you may be talking about the wider cultural recognition, as in someone recognizing that this is a viable part of our culture. And I think that is something that is in the process of changing in Western culture.
I was going to say, yeah. I mean,
as those who were against it age out of the population, while those who grew up with it become more dominant and outnumber those that were there. I think it's as simple as that. That for cultural reasons, the Japanese were more accepting to it right away. It came late, whereas in the Western societies, it was always something more children's like. And what happened was that it's getting accepted when basically the generations, which are all a bunch of man children that never let their cartoons behind them and brought them with them their entire life, they're the ones that's going to bring the acceptance, and that becomes the new norm.
And maybe this is a foreign view, but I see Thomas Paine, this is $4.99, so I'm assuming he's from America. Like, I really don't agree with this, because we've had all the way back to the 90s, especially like, I mean, you had anime and stuff influences on things like, oh, I'm sure he'll be back, like on MTV and stuff like that with
Beavis and Butthead.
Well, not Beavis and Butthead so much, but Liquid Television, right? Like, that introduced our generation to a lot of different styles of animation and types of animation. And there's always been a niche adult kind of like thing, even with film animated stuff, like with everything from like Heavy Metal to Fritz the Cat and whatnot like that. But I would still say Spawn, it was a great animated, a US animated series that was not a comedy. You had some that were like that. And now, did we have as much as some of the Eastern, influence type stuff like they do over there? No. Yeah, I agree with you. Like, there's a lot more of a broader genre as far as things you can do, but we're starting to accept them more, like Andre was saying. I don't know if we ever necessarily resisted them.
Yeah, Cartoon Network had Toonami, and it did great.
You had Toonamis, and you had other things that were on that kind of gave you varied kind of cartoons and animated stuff that wasn't just for kids, wasn't just comedy.
Yeah,
I think now, like I said, I agree. Yeah. Well, that's still comedy, but I mean,
South Park, Family Guy.
Yeah, there you go, Thomas. I think maybe overlooked some bits and pieces, but we've got a fantastic topic to move on to. Genuinely, so I said one good, one bad, one good, one bad, whatever. We're back onto something good now. I can't remember what the last one was.
I thought the last one was good. The Russo brothers.
Well, this is good for us, bad for Disney. Oh, that's it. Fruity Gaywad. Fruity Gaywad. He might be done. Doctor Who's future reportedly hangs in the balance at Disney. We've also got some figures. Now, not ratings figures. I've been doing them. We've got some monetary figures. Just real quick before we take a look. Just a quick guess from the panel. How much do you think they spent on each episode of this new Doctor Who show? Bearing in mind, ladies and gents, they averaged 3.7 million viewers per episode. That's the average, anyway.
I'm going to guess more than they ever spent on any other Doctor Who.
Okay, well,
I'll say,
but do you have a number in mind?
10 million an episode.
How many episodes
are there? Guess or not, Nick? Is that a guess?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'm going to guess 5 million per episode.
It's $13 million they spent per episode, which I don't understand why you guess so high, because that was the budget of the final season of Game of Thrones, which was the most expensive show of all time at that point in time.
Well, the culture of today, it seems, the way you fix everything, you just throw more money at it. So it's like all these new shows coming out, like the Acolyte, 180 million, really? So I figured it was going to be some stupid high number like everything else is these days.
Fair enough. Well, it was stupidly high. $13 million they spent per episode. So just to break this down, this is on Doctor Who TV. This is an article over on Deadline. It's a really good article, actually. I covered it earlier today. But Deadline notes that Doctor Who was almost completely absent from Disney's recent upfront festivities because they did like a big panel thing. It says lack of front and center placement may spin a yarn about the series' position in the Disney priority log nearly 3 years on from the deal being struck. Now they say there's noises that it may not last beyond its initial 2 seasons are already reverberating around international TV circles. One source close to the production tells them that they feel its future hangs in the balance already. Disney, the BBC, and co-producers BBC Studios and Bad Wolf all declined Deadline's interview requests for the article, which is hilarious. Deadline goes on to say the ratings are a problem. They can talk all they like about young viewers, but they're still down from the specials and down from the Jodie Whittaker series. This source says, I imagine serious conversations are happening. Disney will want to see results. And that's an industry source. There's more than that. There's so much about this. I love it. It's great. So they talk about para-analytics, but we're not going to recite this stuff because para-analytics is dog shit. Para-analytics also just follows stuff on the internet that's hateful as well. So it's not an actual accurate metric. But they do see this. So a senior US rating source positions the figures as underwhelming, although they acknowledge that Doctor Who has long struggled attracting mainstream audiences. Apparently it's okay, but not stellar, was the simple verdict from a Disney insider about the internal view on its performance. Now, apparently a source close to Deadline, which is close to the production, believes Disney will, quote, need to make a decision on its future relationship with the show soon after the War Between the Land and the Sea Raps, which is a spin-off movie. And this could have a bearing on how long the in-demand Gaywad, who will lead a West End production of The Importance of Being Earnest at the end of this year, remains the Doctor. Although the next season has wrapped, apparently the source predicts the final episode has been left open-ended with the possibility remaining that Gaywad could regenerate into his successor if he chooses to exit. So Gaywad's agents hadn't responded to Deadline's request for comment, at that time. Apparently sources are split on the extent to which Disney pulling out will harm the show's future. It'll be dead. While it would no doubt be embarrassing, Doctor Who's mega budget increase is perhaps less noticeable on screen than first thought. One source says, positing that Disney tentpoles like The Mandalorian look far more expensive on screen, but another says it will be a disaster given that Disney has spent all of this money. The question becomes what the BBC will do if they pull out. That's kind of it, really. I mean, it's dead. Like, I've been covering this weekly. The figures are shit. What do you expect? It's looking like it's done. So I'll go to you first, Bo.
Right, well, it was news to me because I haven't watched any of the Gaywad era, nor will I watch any Gaywad Who. What was news to me is that Disney were really involved. I thought it was just a BBC thing because famously, Doctor Who has always been pretty low budget, sort of laughably low budget. It was almost part of its appeal. I'm talking back when I was a kid, like the Sylvester McCoy years. Or even the reboot of it, the first few reboots of it, or even the Jodie Whittaker stuff. I did see 2 or 3 or 4 episodes of that, and it still looks really, really like ridiculously low budget because it's the BBC. And anyone who doesn't know, the BBC is funded by the state-sponsored theft of the TV license. But they still haven't got a great deal of money to be thrown at things. Certainly not $13 million per episode of anything ever. Couldn't dream of that. So here that Disney are basically bankrolling it. But like a lot of things, finally, people in general in the West seem to be just boycotting stuff. No, we don't want our Prime Minister to be an Indian man. No, we don't want our First Minister to be a Pakistani man. No, we don't want Doctor Who to be a gay black man. Sorry, call us racist all you like. Call us bigoted all you like. We don't want Gaywad to be our Doctor. Thank you. It's just it's sort of as simple as that, right? So yeah, hopefully it dies. I've said before, I think I must have said before that I was never a big Doctor Who fan. My brother was. But he's a bit older than me. He's sort of a 70s kid. I'm an 80s kid. And so he loves Doctor Who, loved Doctor Who. And but I was, like I say, grew up with Sylvester McCoy, and then a big chunk of my life, there was no Doctor Who at all. So when it came out again, when they rebooted it started again, right, I was already in my 30s or whatever. So I'm like, oh, right, yeah, Doctor Who, that really low budget thing that I was never particularly into anyway. So yeah, if Doctor Who completely dies, yeah, fine. Fine with me. One less vehicle for them to try and destroy the fabric of our society with. Great.
Yep, true. I would share those sentiments. Andre, I don't know if you got any thoughts on this, bud.
Well, the problem with those sentiments, though, is that then you kind of like let them win, because even if you didn't grow up with it, it's still part of British culture, which got hijacked and taken away. Just saying. So victory for those wanting to destroy culture. They can put that in the success column. But I am very, very pleased to see that it does fail, because this is the kind of thing that should be rejected. Will there be more seasons? Again, it's Disney. I wouldn't count it out because, again, remember, everyone that's saying probably not going to be any more seasons and stuff like that, they are using sound, basic fiscal analysis. And Disney increasingly are at the point where they're going to have to start using some basic sound fiscal analysis themselves. But are they quite there yet where they can see that we really can't do this, or this is so woke, this is so good, this is so virtuous, we cannot stop funding something this virtuous? What kind of signal effect would it send? Especially since we already cast the guy, we already paid for all of the costumes. It'll actually be more expensive for us to stop doing this now than to just fund another season. So that's fun. And like these kind of things, I don't count out another season until it is confirmed that there will be no more, because we've seen this over and over with stuff that by any kind of traditional fiscal means should have been cancelled, yet they keep on flushing other people's monies down the drain to make more, because it's just too virtuous to stop, or because there is some kind of agreement or something there that makes it an overall better proposition just to continue funding more than it does to just stop it all. So I wouldn't count out any more seasons just yet, because from their point of view, it can be like, okay, we paid 13 million per season so far, but now we have the startup cost behind us, so now we can probably cut a little bit and cut it down to 10 million per episode. Great success.
Yeah, maybe.
I wouldn't count it out.
No, that's fair enough. Tom, you got anything you want to add to this? I'm asking just on the off.
I have, very little reference outside of, I think it's kind of hilarious that the fact that this went on Disney Plus, it opened Doctor Who up to a much broader audience, on the primetime instant level than it ever had before. And they have less people watching than it ever had before, even when it was first run in, the UK only or whatever. So like, I just find it hilarious that this has failed and blown up in their face so badly. The fact that they have cognitive dissonance about it across the board, though, is even more hilarious. I mean, do I think they're going to continue this? I don't know. It depends on whether or not Disney is willing to, I guess, foot the bill for that again. I don't know if they're willing to, because you guys have kind of cut them off over there, from my understanding, basically.
Yeah. Well, there you go. I don't think they will, but we shall see. I think the numbers speak for themselves. But again, that's a rational mind. So who knows? But I thought this was a funny piece of sort of content to chit chat about, something which I've been following pretty closely. To me it's brilliant. I love it. It's super, super funny stuff. Right, okay, cool. Let's move on now to another topic. Let me just get it up. Here we go. Right, let's go. So, what's this deal with Mark Hamill? Mark Hamill was apparently made light of the DJT assassination attempt, basically. Mocks the bandage, things like that. Now, the reason why I want to cover this is I just think the hypocrisy that is being exposed with Disney. I mean, we knew it was there anyway. We've seen great examples of it, but obviously, this is hanging a lantern on it pretty full on at the moment. And Gina Carano just put him on blast. So it was just sort of a quite a sweet moment on the internet, I guess. So what happened in this? Scroll down here. So obviously, you know what happened with Trump. Obviously, we're not going to cover that. And then Hamill's reaction to the assassination attempt was to condemn political violence, whilst also calling for a ban on assault weapons. Says there's no place for violence in politics ever. I'm grateful the former president is okay. That said, never forget that this is the guy who promised the NRA he would do nothing on gun control and told victims of shootings just to get over it, ban assault weapons now, which is kind of, the implication of the statement is essentially, yeah, I'm grateful he's okay, but it's also his fault, right?
Which to me is more nefarious than the ones who are like, oh, too bad they missed. Like,
yeah, I mean,
those are like bad enough,
level, to be fair.
But like, but this is almost like more nefarious because it's like you're pretending to be, because it's like up front, you're like, there's no place for violence, but and it's that but to me that comes off even more nefarious than somebody who just comes out and says, I hope next time they don't miss or shouldn't have missed or some stupid shit like that. Because to me, it's like you're just showing how stupid and ignorant you are by saying that. Mark knows what he's fucking doing. Apologies for my swearing. It's the same thing I feel like when every time I see something about the actual perpetrator, let's say, I don't know how you want me to term these things. They always show the school photos and stuff. You know why they're doing that? It's because the media is trying to sensitize him. They're trying to make you feel for him. They're trying to humanize him. And it's like, to me, it's like, no, BS. You don't get to do that after dehumanizing this individual for the last 8+ years.
I agree.
Because that's exactly what got us to this point. And you and I, Mr. H, were right in sync on that this kid has been fed this crap for almost half of his life now. I'm surprised it hasn't happened sooner than this, considering, think about it, how many other millions, if not billions of kids are just like him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally.
And Mark Hamill was completely taken out of context, the just get over it comment. Like he was telling people, like victims and stuff, just get over it. Just get over it, guys. That wasn't the context of his statement.
Is it ever, though, Nick? They always take him out of context. Yeah. That's the other problem, right?
Yeah. It's funny how that only works for one side. But sorry, carry on, Mr. Rich.
Yeah, so Mark Hamill also then decided to take the piss out of Donald Trump by saying first appearance of ludicrously oversized ear bandage, apparently not needed prior to tonight, because this is as he walked out in the RNC. Now, look, we've all got eyes. Yeah, it is a pretty bloody large bandage, right? Like, of course it is. And it may not have been needed actually prior to the RNC. He may have gone to some plastic surgeon. Like, you don't know, right? We don't know what's happening.
Actually, I heard something about this. I don't know if it's the actual reason or not, but
do you want to share it?
Because of the event and how loud it was going to be, and the damage that he had gotten in his ear, the doctors made him have this on to protect his ear.
Yeah, because I heard something that his eardrum was blown out as well.
Exactly. Yes. So, thank you, Andre. Yeah.
And so because of that, it's big because
it's absorbing all the noise, basically. Yeah.
That makes sense, actually. To be fair, but it kind of makes sense. Yeah. But regardless, we don't know why it's there. Did shoot him in the ear, for God's sake. So even if it's just a case of, some reconstructive plastic surgery that he may have had, again, we don't know, right? So he's just kind of taking the piss out of it. It's just in bad taste. So not great. Doesn't look great. And then we've got, I think that's about it from that. So then Gina Carano, who obviously was persecuted by Disney, has got a legal case going through Disney. And interestingly, this entire situation can then be used as a reference point for the legal case as well. So you've got to remember that. Gina Carano blasts Mark Hamill as a talking piece of dung after he mocks President Trump for just praying at the RNC, which again, I'm not religious. I don't care about religion. I still wouldn't really mock.
Now, was Mark actually mocking? Was Mark actually mocking the praying, or was that the picture that everybody was going around saying Trump fell asleep? I was just gonna say, this was a misinterpretation where everybody, was running around saying he fell asleep. It's like, you idiots, you're using the shot of when you're just showing exactly what you always do, right? You manipulate and you lie.
Yeah, misrepresenting the truth.
Misrepresentation as usual. Yeah.
misinformation, isn't it? Those that love to preach about misinformation, they love to spread it
and
as
the
well.
funny thing is that these are the first people that claim, "Oh, I was taken out of context."
Yes,
But when it's someone on the other side of the aisle, that standard, of course, doesn't apply. Also, I think he's really manipulative, and it only goes to show his political colors. Whenever like there's a mass shooting, then it's gun control. Gun control could have saved this. And I will grant that in this particular case, apparently the shooter used his father's legally bought AR-15. So this is a particular case where it was a legal weapon that was used. But most of the time, when you have gun violence in the US, it is in fact illegal weapons, non-registered weapons, illegally obtained weapons, which are the ones which are being used. Whereas the legal ones, well, they are the ones which are used to prevent home invasions, to stop ongoing robberies and stuff like that. This is something that they don't really tell you, because they basically want us to get into the same place in Europe, where basically if someone comes into your home, you are fucked, because you have no to defend yourself. And of course, just like that way, of course, you have like less weapons in circulation. So there's that too. Like, for instance, in the UK, you don't have a gun problem, you have a machete problem. I mean, there is
still guns in the UK,
related, but you still have the issue of people are going to find ways of killing each other. And
of course, I mean, they will anyway.
Something, like, for instance, you can't in my neighboring Sweden, you can't legally get weapons there, but they have a massive gun problem there. They have a massive grenade problem and a massive rocket launcher problem in my neighboring Sweden, even with the ban on guns. So it's like really rich that they're going to talk about as if that's going to help anything. No.
Well, yeah, because if guns are illegal, if you do have any weapon problems like that, they're going to be mostly illegal weapons, like because none of them are legal there. So all of them are. Anyway,
let's get to her comments though. So
she
says it's called praying mark, because these comments are good but also bad, and I think this is a much better conversation to have, actually. So it's called prayer mark. Trump was closing his eyes in prayer. The man was just shot a few days ago, almost losing his life, and another man took that bullet that died, protect his family. This I agree with. All right, this is good. What happened to all that talk about not spreading misinformation and disinformation? Just doesn't count. When you do it, rules for thee, not for me. This I don't like. How's that white Democrat male privilege treating you? Been fired from any jobs recently? Now, I like Gina Carano, but she's a dumbass for saying this, because she's playing their game back to them using that woke talking points, stuff like this. And I hate it. And it's lazy. It's shit. You're stooping to their level in that regard. Like, so she believes male privilege exists, does she? Like, I hate this. No, don't do it. So this is more worth the conversation over just the gun control stuff. This I wanted to talk about more so, because I agree with most of what she said, but to sit there and say, how's that white Democrat male privilege treating you? What's the fact he's white got to do with anything? What's the fact he's male got to do with anything? Right? And I don't like it. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of this white privilege.
She's got a point in a sense.
Man privilege nonsense. It's dog shit.
I agree with your sentiment, especially if here's my other point to this before I get into the last part. Because if something does happen to Mark now because of this, because like look at what happened to Tenacious TDS, right? I mean, on that note though, I get what she's saying. She's saying it in a sense that people on the left don't. If you're male and you're white, it doesn't matter. You're still protected. That's what she's getting at here, because he can sit there and say all this shit that he wants and still not have to worry about being canceled. Now, this may come back to bite her, like I said, more so just because
he's white and male. It's because he's left leaning.
I know exactly what she's saying that, and I see where you are coming from. I see perfectly well where you are coming from, but the reason why she is saying that is obviously because of the upcoming trial that she has against Disney and the lawsuit right there, where the whole point is that she is being discriminated against, not just
Bingo.
because she's a woman, but because she has expressed views that are verboten. Part of the video that we released earlier today is about the chokehold that the Democratic Party has on the entire film industry and has had since the 90s. This is something that Deadline Hollywood addressed in an article that came out on the 14th of July. That's the main point of that article, actually, believe it or not, of that video, actually, believe it or not. And this is also something I bet is going to be addressed in this case. The whole rules for thee, not for me. How you have people who express similar sentiments in similar positions in the same company, but one is struck down upon really hard and the other is tolerated. And the only difference is their party allegiance. One
Bingo.
is a good member of the party that has paid their dues, meaning their donations, because this is also something that was mentioned in this article of earlier that we covered in this video from earlier today, that in order to progress in your career in certain positions of Hollywood, you have to donate to the party. You have to attend these and these rallies. You have to be in these and these fundraisers. Oh, you're not with the party, you're not with the good people, well, then you are out. You cannot progress, because here, this is how we do things. And that is kind of like what she's bringing right here. This is why she is bringing up his Democrat privilege, which protects
white male stuff didn't need to be said.
That's doing
what
there.
my point
Well, again, but that's that,
she
I
wasn't
see where
persecuted
you're
because
coming
she's a
from.
woman. She was persecuted because
That's all. That's also part of the.
But that's part of her argument, Mr. H. That's
exactly.
and
So
yeah,
that's,
and that's
part of her
this
argument
is
is she's
something that they
persecuted
can
because she's a
use
woman.
in the
That's
lawsuit.
false.
This will be part
She
of it.
yeah. That's part of her claim in her. That's why she has an actual case, because she's a woman.
I know that's how she has a case, but she wasn't persecuted because she's a woman. She was persecuted because of her political leanings.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's
but
part of this.
To beat them at their game, they're not gonna acknowledge that part, right? But they will. She's using their own rules against them at this point, is what she's doing.
Yeah, I get that, but you shouldn't make an argument about it either publicly, because it looks like you're playing it. I understand people are like being ironic, blah blah blah. Meh.
No, it's not about being ironic. No, I'm with Andre on this. This is a clever move on her part, because she's making the point here that her whole case is built upon.
Yeah. Again, not defending it. Not defending it. I see perfectly where you come from, but that's why. Yeah, sorry.
Let's get Nick's view, because you actually recently met her. So
and I think she's using some hyperbole here a little bit. Like, the left is always talking about white male privilege and all this sort of stuff. They're always claiming that, so I think she was kind of using that side's argument kind of
that's what I'm saying, yeah,
kind of against him, because they're the ones always claiming this stuff. Like, I don't think she thinks.
I know she's using that for that reason. I'm saying she shouldn't. That's the point. But yeah, I get it.
Admit this in court now, right? There's a precedence for it. Like, it's I get where you're coming from, Nate, too, and I agree. Like, it's normally, and I don't think she normally would have said anything like this. There is a reason why she did this. This is against her normal kind of routine.
There was another.
Really just sick and tired of the hypocrisy on that side. With the
that's a level of hypocrisy as well, though. You can't sit there and say this doesn't exist and we don't do this and blah 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 blah, and then use it in an argument. That's a level of hypocrisy in and
I think there's another thing to that as well, because if you look more down on what she was saying in her full statement, she is very heavily implying that he has said nasty stuff in the past that hasn't gotten the full public attention and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, she says further, it really makes you wonder what the deep state has on you for you to have your head so permanently jammed up their ass, to where all you've become is their walking, talking piece of dung. Have you enjoyed all your political free speech and Hitler analogies without any repercussions the past 8 years? Don't worry. We have them all saved. Strange you weren't cancelled or called out for any of it. I wonder if that time is fast approaching for you. Have a good
There you go.
That's my point too. And I agree with you to a point, but she's doing this strategically. Normally she wouldn't do this sort of thing. And the only way I see this biting her in the ass is if this does come back to bite Mark, and he is getting some heat for this for once, and we did see a precedent set now where there's been actual consequence culture with the whole Jack Black, Kyle Gass, Tenacious TDS thing.
Loads of like low level workers as well. But
that's what I'm saying. See, like that's where there's actually now been some consequences over this stuff because of what that caused. Now, if Mark ends up losing his job or something like that, or loses a job over this, I don't necessarily agree with that, but it'll also come back to bite her because then it's finally what she's saying here at the end, as the end, but I understand where she's coming because she also knows how these things work on the inside. She's basically confirming a lot of what Andre's been saying is that this party is basically like Scientology. You go up the ranks by paying your dues.
Yeah.
And what did Mark do? He paid his dues all the way to the White House. He got to sit there and Joe Blow Kenobi.
Yep.
What say you, Bo, on all of this? I mean, I like the fact that she, slammed Luke Skywalker, but I mean, the language should be used. But yeah, would you reckon, Bo?
I think I get what you're saying. I mean, she's clearly lampooning the concept of like white male privilege or whatever. But yeah, perhaps it wasn't the best thing to do or say, but in general, just slamming him and picking him up on all this shit is great. Yeah, I'm all for that. That's what that's what I do on Twitter myself. Just go hard at our enemies. Because here's the thing. We are in. It's a type of war. It is a type of war. These people do want a lot of us, people like us, dead.
Yeah,
they want us dead. A lot of it's very low resolution to talk about boomers or the boomer generation, but a lot of normie boomers just will not accept that the situation is that serious. They just refuse to look it in the eye. They'll say, oh, it's a culture war, or the culture war isn't even a real thing or whatever. They've just completely got their head in the sand. No, a lot of these people, globalists, leftists, socialists, communists, whatever it is, you use all sorts of different words. They would want us dead. They want Trump dead. Trump as a figurehead for your average American in all sorts of ways. I know he's a billionaire, right? I know he's the furthest thing from an average American, but he's an avatar in a way for your average American in all sorts of senses. And they want him dead. It's a serious thing we're in here. It's much more than merely a culture war or a battle of ideas. No, they won't stop. If history shows us anything, this type of political thinking is all in. They're all in. It will end terribly, and they won't give up. They're implacable. It's an implacable enemy. And someone like Mark Hamill, it's weird, isn't it? So like Mark Hamill, of all people, if you'd asked me in the 1990s who would end up being, some sort of front man for an insane political viewpoint, which wishes the absolute worst on all of Western civilization, you wouldn't pick Mark Hamill for that job. But anyway, that's where we are. No, I mean, it's a terrible turn of events, and you end up with it's a secondary thing really, but someone like Gina Carano and Mark Hamill arguing with each other on Twitter. What really matters here, and I'm of the opinion that we don't let these people off the hook. For the last 10 years or whatever, they've been trying to destroy us, right? If someone tried to push you under a train, and at the last moment, just by chance, you turned away and they failed to push you under a train, you don't go, oh, what was that? Don't worry about it though. You didn't push me under a train, so don't worry about it. No, you'd be like, that's attempted murder. Like this guy needs to go to prison for a long time for attempted murder. Or the analogy of being shot in the head. Someone points a gun at the back of your head while you're not looking, and it happens to not go off. The bullet somehow was a dud. You don't go, oh, well, yeah, well, it was a dud, so, oh, well, let's move on. I definitely wouldn't shoot you in the head back for that. No, they just tried to murder you. This thing of we shouldn't bring ourselves down to their level with cancel culture and stuff. No, I don't accept that. No, You have to fight back. You have to fight back. That's the thing we've endlessly done. If we've proved anything in West in the last 8 years or longer, last 20 years, is that we're too kind, too forgiving. Our good nature has been absolutely abused, and there should be an end to it. No, we should stand up. There should be lines in the sand. We should fight fire with fire. I don't agree with these people that say, don't engage in cancel culture back. No, that's the beginning. No, we should and we will, and that's only the beginning. That's my take.
No, I do agree with that. To be fair, just don't like using that. I just don't like using the rhetoric. I think if she just said Democrat privilege, I'd be much happier with it. I don't like the implication that being a white man has anything to do with it. But yeah, I do agree. We've got, what have we got here? Sorry, we've got Zephyr's been a member for 11 months. We've got a brand new member of Bart the Barbarian. Great name. Thank you so much. And we got a few round here on. Oh, and we've also got Jay's been a member for 41 months. Says Romulus is looking great. It is. Scroll back earlier in the stream. We're talking about it then. And then we've got one. I missed this one. This one's for you, Andre, actually. Norwegian Kryptonian says, Andre, I don't know if it's just me, but I can't for the life of me remember Doctor Who ever being shown on Norwegian television.
It wasn't. Doctor Who has never. Well, here's the thing. The new Doctor Who, that has been shown. I think that was shown on NRK2 when it came out. But classic Doctor Who has never, ever been shown on Norwegian TV. But, and here's what you don't know, we had a Doctor Who all of our own. Yes, that's right. We have a Norwegian Doctor Who. And it's called, listen now, Brødrene Dal og Spektralsteinene. No one understood that, but the Norwegians in the audience, they knew. And they have their minds blown right now because that is Norwegian Doctor Who. It's pretty amazing. I showed it to a British friend of mine once, and he was like, this is engaging stuff. Yeah, this is just like Doctor Who.
Or I'll have to, you'd have to send me a link or something. Accent Seller has sent 200 Norwegian kroner, says from Finnbold. Don't know what that is. And says Trump stock shorted heavily day before assassination attempt. A pattern raises concerns that some individuals may had foreknowledge of plot against President Trump's life and sought to profit from expected turmoil.
How much you want to bet that if you go through enough shell companies, there's going to be some Pelosi money in there? Because if the Pelosi's have shown anything, they are masters at predicting the market. I mean, if someone were as good at predicting the market as the Pelosi's, unbelievable the kind of insight they. No, not insight. We cannot suggest that they have any insight. But boy, like they're just like this third sense or this sixth sense they have in seeing where the market is going to move is truly uncanny. I don't know where the Pelosi's get it from.
Yeah, Nancy Pelosi particularly is one of the greatest investors of all time.
Exactly.
What a remarkable thing. As well
you
as
can
being
only
a
pay for that
congresswoman.
kind of info. I mean, I'm not implying that they're doing that, but
apparently from, sorry, where is it? The Elect says that is false. The put options were bought weeks before. Okay. Well, I don't know. I'm just super chat.
Well, I did a bit of content.
Well, this event was also announced weeks before. They would have known when it was going to happen weeks before.
I did a bit of content for Lotus Eaters about this, and I've been fascinated by assassinations my whole life. When I was one of the first things I got absolutely fascinated with was when I was very young, when I was sort of 8 or 9 years old. I had a book about mysteries, and one of them was who shot JFK. And I remember being a small child and learning about the details and being fascinated by it. And when by the time I was 14, 15 or 16, old enough to read a long, thick, proper
modern CIA case
book.
Closed.
Yeah. And I was reading about the JFK assassination. I've got a video I released just about a year ago on the truth behind the JFK. And yeah, and I squarely accuse Alan Dulles and the CIA of being behind it. Anyway, point is, one of the best books, just quickly to say on that, is The Devil's Chessboard, which is actually written by a little bit of a lefty, but it's still a brilliant book. Anyway, moving on. With this Donald Trump thing, it is highly suspicious. I'm not going to say anything specific because the details haven't come out yet, but if it is merely incompetence, then it is incompetence which has got to the level of being highly suspicious. That's what I'm prepared to say at this point. There's a great film from the 90s with Clint Eastwood and John Malkovich, In the Line of Fire, if anyone's watched that one. Great movie. But yeah, the thing that the Secret Service do not accidentally fail to cover a roof 130 yards away. That's not
weird, isn't it?
It's a bit beyond weird, and that's all I'm prepared to say at this moment. But
I agree with you, Bo. It's gotten to a point where they either need to accept that, we screwed up because of negligence, or we screwed up because of DEI, or both. Because otherwise, the more that you mess with this, the more the conspiracies are going to just start to swirl. And they have already, right? Like, I mean, that's the problem.
Yeah, let's not get too far down that path.
Sorry, but yeah.
That's all right. It's all right. We'll move some other super chats here. Sorry, which is interesting, kind of on the same line of conversation anyway. It says, genuine question, how can we hold people like Hamill to account without becoming monsters ourselves? If we get nasty, how can we guarantee that we won't go mad like the cancel culture people are now? I mean, I think, there's few trains of thought surrounding this whole situation, isn't it, really?
Well, with Mark, I mean, what does he have to lose, I guess, or what is there to take away from him? I mean, the most you can do is just take away your loyalty as a fan at this point. Yeah. That's the thing.
He's made his money. He doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, as far as canceling, I mean, whatever. I mean, I don't see anybody out there actually calling for his canceling in any way. Like Six even brought up in the chat, like, is he really even working right now? Outside of a few times he's just. I seriously think he's sitting there by the phone just waiting for it to ring from Star Wars to do it because they need him again.
Probably. Yeah.
But other than that, like, I mean, this to me, I don't feel like it's going to go anywhere. I think it's just going to be what it is. Just like a lot of these other celebrities doing the same thing, whether it's Rob Reiner, whether it's Stephen King or whoever, they're not going to really see any true consequences from this. But that's where I differentiate it from the Jack Black, Kyle Gass situation. Because, make no mistake about it, Jack Black didn't have a sudden change of heart.
No, of course not.
I would say
no. That was business. Yeah, but anyway,
I would say in response to that question, how do we do this without becoming monsters? I would say no. Become comfortable with being a monster. That is one of the things Jordan Peterson talks about. No, I'm sorry. Stop being a bit of a pussy.
I'm not going to disagree with that.
They are coming for us. Right, war is a nasty, cruel thing. And the quicker it's over, the better. But don't shy away from it. Don't pretend it's not nasty, because it's going to get nasty.
Well, so, and I agree with you, Bo.
Not everyone's got that gear to go into. I would like to see Mark Hamill on the street in penury for his crimes. Not everyone's got that gear to go into, and I get that. That's not everyone's bag. But that's.
Well, I mean, and my point is that he hasn't really committed any crimes, and neither did Kyle, really. But he was in another country, first of all, so that's one problem there. And then on top of that, there was the other issues. I mean, if you want to be stupid and say whatever you want, you got the free right to do that, especially on X now. I mean, that's one thing I think is great, is we get to see the true colors of some of these idiots. And I agree with you also. We got to fight some fire with fire. Now, there's still a way to take the little bit higher road, but I mean, that's what got us here in the first place, is taking the high road for so long and giving too many inches and them taking too many miles, right? And when I say us and them, it's this more or less the culture war side of things, even more than the political side of things, even though they do kind of line up together, unfortunately, here. But that's the thing, is you've turned one religion specifically into this almost religion of sorts. And then you also do have that aspect on the other side too. I'm not going to deny that, right? But I see it more rabidly on this side, because look, and this is my main point, and this is the last thing I'll say about it for Mr. H's sake and his channel's sake. All I know is that after Saturday, I didn't see any mostly fiery protests. Did you?
Nope, sure did not. And and I think something else that people can do is just call these people out on social media, like point out their ridiculous comments and respond to it. Like look how ridiculous this is. Just call it out. I mean, you don't gotta, come back with any kind of crazy comment or anything, but just point it out to everybody. And just to not to get too deep on the other topic, I was just curious if you guys have seen this that got released yesterday, the security service Secret Service security bubble in the shape of Pac-Man. And they were good with taking on this pond over
useless
here,
area,
just in case
safe from scuba divers.
Yeah, some Navy SEALs were gonna pop up with scuba gear out of here.
Well, actually, you know what? Don't put it past them.
True. But this is dumb. This is dumb, and the excuses in some of the videos have been coming out. And again, like I said, I'm done with this. But until we actually talk about it more serious, this is just ridiculous.
It's crazy.
All right, we got a super chat from Chaos is Fun. It says Mark Hamill will always be a bumhole talking poop. On the cancel culture, they set the rules of engagement. It's only fair they suffer the consequences of their own actions. Well, I guess it's don't hate the player, hate the game, or something like that. Interesting topics. I wish we could dive into a little bit more. My back is about to pop out my spine. My spine is about to pop out my back. My spinal cord. Anyway, so we will shuffle on now, and I will ask everyone to promote some bits and pieces, what they got going on, talk about their channels and things like that. Just real quick, we won't because we've got one from Accident Seller. Says no one is talking about how there were no SS on the water tower. It's very tall, or is the Google map out of date? I don't know. I don't know the ins and outs of this. We can't get too heavily into this right now. But okay, right. Bo, promote some stuff.
All right, there's my own channel, History Bro, with over 250 odd videos on it that are specifically history themed, and there is everything from the ancient world, going back to the ancient Assyrians. Lots of stuff about the Romans. That's really my wheelhouse, really, the Greco-Roman classical world. A big thing about Alexander, Hannibal, Pyrrhus, the Roman Republic, all sorts of stuff. But also loads of other medieval history and a few on World War I, World War II, long series on Napoleon. There's loads of stuff there. Go to History Bro just on YouTube, and everything's free there. I also work at lotuseaters.com. People might recognize our second studio here, lotuseaters.com. A lot of that is behind a paywall, though, £5 a month to subscribe to that. But I've got my own show there, Epochs, which again is history themed. At the moment, I'm working through a series all about the Roman Republic, working up to the career of Pompey and Julius Caesar. But there is the free daily podcast of the Lotus Eaters, which is free, and I'm on that usually a couple of times a week. Also appear most Sundays on the Outcast Creative, talking about this sort of stuff, TV, movies and things. And you can also find me on Twitter just as Bodade, where I'm extremely rude to leftists.
And your channel is linked down below, guys. So if you want to check out History Road, please do check it out down below in the description box. Nick, what's happening in your world?
I'm one half of Echo Base Network. Me and Coach over on our channel, wrapping up Acolyte. We got a live stream tonight at 7 Central, which is our weekly live stream. EBN cast tomorrow, pre-FNT from 2 to 3 Central. Cobra Kai just dropped. So I'm gonna be watching that tonight. Probably won't get to it before our stream tonight, but I am going to be watching that and probably talking about it on EBN cast tomorrow. We got Wolverine Deadpool coming out, Alien Romulus coming out in a couple weeks. So we got some good positive stuff on the horizon to discuss, Yeah,
it's not all doom and gloom. There's some good stuff. Tom, not last this time. What you got going on? You want to promote some stuff?
After dark in just over 2 hours, 2.5 hours. Going to talk Cobra Kai season 6, Beetlejuice trailer, maybe Romulus trailer. Yeah, whatever else comes up.
Well, you can talk about Warner Brothers Discovery separating.
I saw that. I sent that off to Andre to see what he thought about it. Yeah, it's an interesting.
To be expected. They're past that deadline now. They can make changes. So anyway, Andre, you want to promote some stuff, bud?
Yeah, we dropped a video earlier today that you should check out, which is related to the subject matters we've been talking about the past 20 minutes or so here in the stream. And then, of course, check back tomorrow for our live stream, Midnight Edge in the morning at 9 a.m. LA time. That's 5 p.m. UK time and 6 p.m. Central European time, and for all other times you do the math. And there probably we will be talking a little bit about Warner Brothers Discovery. We may be talking about the Dune trailer, and then whatever else drops. So be sure to be there for that.
Excellent. For me, things that's happening on the channel, I'll be doing my Sunday stream.
Chill stream.
It's just a chilled hangout stream, so join along for that. No major things releasing this weekend actually, which will be quite good. So just the usual content, maybe another in-depth breakdown of some Alien Romulus stuff. Haven't quite decided yet. Also, just to sort of float the concept out there, it may happen. It's still in discussion phases, but got to try and build some hype for these things. There is the possibility that myself and Bo will be starting a politics channel. So it's in the discussion phase at this point in time. Some good, strong discussions about it. So if you guys are keen for that, then there you go. It's something which is on the horizon. Which I think
worldwide politics or just mainly UK politics? Or...
Worldwide.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, absolutely. British politics pretty fucking boring, to be honest. So.
American politics, that's far more sexy and it's far more entertaining. I mean, that's Roman gladiatorial games.
The world.
That's wrestling
a little bit more as well. So
yeah,
but there you go. So just as an FYI, that's potentially on the horizon. Got to build some hype for this. Cheers, guys. Hope you have a great evening, day, wherever you are. I don't know what the time is, but I hope you have a great day. Cheers. Take care. Bye-bye now.
Bye, guys.